By the way, my example was an extreme one.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make, though, is I think it would be beneficial to find room in the legislation to whether you want to be specific or it's already been made broad, but if there could be something that allows for genetic predisposition or adverse reaction to a sibling or family member to be placed in, it would at least offer me a certain comfort of mind knowing that a need is being addressed.
Right. And I would reply.
It's not the belief.
Right.
It's.
And what I would reply is that we leave wide discretion to the physician. Even the opponents have stated that that people have not identified the genetic association with vaccine, et cetera, vaccine problems. That there's a genetic, they can point to a particular gene or something that they said there needs to be more work on that. I think people are working very hard to be sure we keep our vaccines very safe, and they are. But that is something that a physician can exercise at discretion. As I said, it's not just what happened to that one child. We take account of family history. That includes genetics and other types of things, and making a decision and weighing that against what's the risk to that patient. And we work with parents. That's what doctors do. I certainly appreciate Dr. Gordon does that. Dr. Blumberg does that. I do that. Other physicians as well. And that's what's going to happen, and that's going to create. I think that basically addresses the issue that you're talking about, because if doctors aren't going to work with their patients, we have a whole different set of problems.
Thank you, Assemblymember Waldron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick follow-up for the person from the Department of Education who's here. Who's coming? And while he's coming up, I believe the amendment that you took would address this and answer it, but just for clarification, with SB 277 and the amendment regarding individualized education program or an IEP, would that apply to all aspects of special needs child education? In other words, would a special ed student be allowed to take part in normal classroom activities with all other kids in a general setting if they had the exemption?
Yes, they would.
And that's just with that amendment that allows that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted that clarification.
Thank you. We are moving on to the next stage in our hearing, and Assemblymember Thurman and Assemblymember Nazarian. Then we're moving on to the next stage in our hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I promise you I will not engage in any colloquy with any of the witnesses. But I will ask, but in the spirit of having discussion and debate, I'm going to ask the witnesses on each side, the presenter and the witnesses in opposition, to address two straightforward questions. One, on the issue of thimerosal and mercury, we've been presented with all kinds of conflicting reports about mercury being in vaccinations that could cause various illness. But we've also been provided with very definitive science that says there's no mercury. I want the presenter to address it, and I want the witnesses for the opposition to address it.
I'll let them address first.
That there is no longer any mercury in the immunizations is the information that we've been provided. If you believe that's different, please tell us in what science you're basing that on.
Yes, so my understanding is that there are trace amounts of not only mercury but also other toxins and metals, I believe I have a list here, that are still permitted in vaccines that are administered within the state.
Okay, so trace amounts. And then, yes, sir.
Mercury? Mercury has been eliminated from virtually every single vaccine. However, multiple dose vials of the influenza shot given to children can still contain, I believe, 25 micrograms of mercury. Unusual vaccines, I believe Japanese encephalitis vaccines contain mercury. And also I believe that the tetanus shot can contain mercury.
Thank you, sir.
The vast majority of childhood vaccines have no thimerosal at all and trace amounts of mercury at best.
Thank you. Dr. Pan?
Actually, I appreciate if Ms. Fisher would also answer the question.
We should also just mention that the influenza vaccine.
I would like Mr. Fisher to answer the question too.
Oh.
Mr. Thurman, is your question answered? Or do you need someone else to provide input on this?
I'm simply asking the question. If you'd like to address it, please do.
I'm sorry. Dr. Gordon is correct.
Thank you. Again, in the spirit of discussion and debate, I'd like for each side to address each of these two questions. Dr. Pan, if you'd like to.
This legislature actually passed a law authored by now Senator Fran Pavley that states that children, except unless there's a medical emergency declared by the governor, cannot receive vaccinations containing thimerosal. We do not have, as Dr. Gordon stated, no childhood vaccination contains thimerosal. In addition, none of the vaccines that are required under this bill, under California state law, contains thimerosal, even though thimerosal has been studied and found to be safe, and there's no linkage between thimerosal and autism.
Okay, thank you. The second question, and I'm sorry, Counselor, I didn't get your name, and when my colleague was asking you, I actually thought she just wanted you to state where you practice. I actually thought your credentials were impeccable, and you established that quite clear. So let the record reflect, there's no question about your credentials. You are more than qualified to speak on the subject, and I'm very sorry about the experiences that you've described, but your credentials are impeccable. But my question has to do with your statement that you made about disproportionality as it relates to African American and Latino children. I'd like you to speak to that, what science you cite for that. And we've been presented with, I would say, two sets of data. One that says that there could have been a link between vaccination and the onset of autism in African American boys, and that data was omitted from an important study. At the same time, we've been presented with studies that say that study and that statement has been debunked and is myth. And that is something I'm looking at, something that I have today that is current that says that study is debunked. And I've been presented by African American doctors who have said that these are false claims. I'd like each side to address this notion.
And to clarify, by each side, that means one person from each side.
One person is sufficient. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'll clarify my earlier comment. My comment was that given the disproportionate impact that the bill would have on Black and Latino students because of their socioeconomic condition, and then specifically with African American students, I referred to the admission by a lead scientist at the CDC who had admitted to being directed to omit findings from his study that showed a higher correlation of developing autism in African American boys when the MMR vaccine was given for under 36 months. I'm aware of no retraction of that admission.
Got it. So I was responding to your statement. I've read that scientist has said that data was omitted from that study, and I believe that is true. But I've also read that the assertions that were made as a result of that omission have been debunked, whether or not they've been debunked by that particular scientist. So I'm asking each side to speak to any scientific evidence you have to that claim, as what I've seen most recently says that study, the assertions have been debunked.
I can't speak to the science of it. What I can say is that I know that United States Congress has opened an investigation of exactly this because, as you say, you get new information every day in text and Twitter and reading articles. I know that United States Congress has opened an investigation and they've subpoenaed that scientist to try to get to the bottom of what happened there, which is another reason that I think it prudent that this committee hold off on passing this legislation until we can get better facts about that study.
Understood. Today I'm just trying to ground myself in facts. I recognize this is a very emotional issue and a familial issue and a personal issue and a public health issue, but today I'm asking for just the facts. Thank you, sir. Dr. Pan.
Actually, I would like to have Dr. Blumberg address this particular issue.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm aware of that data also. It was cherry-picking data after the fact, and there is no scientific evidence that thimerosal in vaccine causes autism. There have been more than 7 well-done studies involving hundreds of thousands of children, and there is no evidence. There is no evidence specifically that thimerosal is associated with autism in African Americans. And in fact, if you look at vaccine-preventable diseases, they some vaccine preventable diseases do tend to affect racial and ethnic minorities disproportionately, and higher vaccination rates erases those disproportional diseases.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your answers. Mr. Chair, thank you for obliging me. I just figured with all these wonderful experts and all this expertise, I wanted each side to have an opportunity to speak to the things that we've heard and what science they have to defend their assertions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Assemblymember Nazarian.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. I guess I want to just conclude by asking you if you would consider, I've grappled with this, and I'm a co-author. I want to support this. I ask you if you would consider putting in language, not limited to, but for the exemptions to be offered in instances when a sibling or a family member has had an adverse reaction. And if there's I know there isn't a very good test for it, but if there are any genetic dispositions that...
So I would say, first of all, there's no restrictions in both current law or in the bill that prevents a physician from doing that. There are none. There are none. So now what we're doing is my concern is we're now adding language to tell a physician to do something that may not be necessary. If a physician feels that a test is necessary to perform, to be sure that a vaccine is safe, they can perform that test. If a physician feels that there's a genetic association and a sibling, a cousin, some other relative, it's not safe for vaccine, they can provide a medical exemption for that vaccine. There's no limitation on the physician from doing that other than their own professional judgment, their own knowledge and expertise about what they believe is safe for the patient. I think that when we craft our laws, it's best that we try not to direct unless we have strong scientific evidence, and we believe that direct the physician that they now must do something that they have the ability to already do. So I appreciate what you're saying. I also want to just reassure you, there is nothing in the bill or the existing law, and I would ask you to point it out if you feel there is, because then, yes, I would be willing to look at an amendment that actually prevents the physician from doing exactly what you're asking them to do.
This will be my last comment, but
Right.
Senator Pan, all due respect, there are 3 doctors sitting at the desk, and you're not all agreeing, and that's what gives me some concern.
So
now, naturally, not everyone needs. There shouldn't be 100% agreement, but this is a very, at some point, critical issue that I think we're intervening between a parent and a child, and if there is documented, if there is a sibling, or if there is family relationship, or if there's genetic potential opportunity for there to be something else happening, I would feel more comfortable.
Okay. So let me just say that actually we've worked with the health committee staff, we've worked with the chair on this very, very specific issue. All right, there are some assertions that people have made that they think doctors won't do things or will do things or something, but we are dealing with a bill and the law, right? We're dealing with what the law says and what the bill will say, what physicians and parents can or cannot do at schools. And so what this bill has been crafted, working with the chair and the staff, looking at what the bill actually says, not what people would like to assert it says, what it actually says, how it will be interpreted. We have left that discretion to licensed physicians in the state of California, including whether it's your own physician, the specialist you're seeing, another physician. We have left that discretion open. Physicians, there's no limitation in the law. We've just heard from the medical board. We are not aware of any physician who's been disciplined, investigated because they provided a medical exemption. So there's no cloud hanging over them to be able to do this. Certainly, they have to look at their own expertise and conscience and knowledge and be sure that they're fulfilling their oath to do the best they can for their patient. That is what we expect of our licensed physicians. But there's no legal barrier if they believe that a sibling another that needs to have an exemption, that they cannot grant that exemption. There's no legal barrier at all. So no matter what we put into the law, unless we want to force physicians and say you must, that's a whole different discussion. But there's nothing in the law that says that they cannot. They are perfectly free to do that, and physicians have done that before. And so I hope that, I think that is what, we are trying to create the space to allow doctors and their patients and their parents to work together, hand in hand, like it should be, working hand in hand to try to do what's best for the patient and also to protect all the children who are attending our school, ensure that we protect all our communities and that we keep people safe from contagious diseases, including children who cannot be immunized and who are at risk of these diseases. But in the end, the medical exemptions between that healthcare professional, doctor, and that child and their parents or guardian. And that's where that decision will be made.
Thank you, Mr. Nazarian. And let me just jump in on that point. This is an issue that we worked very closely with the author's office on. The amendments that we took, one of the 4 amendments that we took and we went over together earlier today, was specifically designed to address this issue, to make it clear that the physician can act within his or her professional judgment and discretion based on all sorts of medical factors without limitation, including family history. And when we were discussing this amendment, we specifically discussed the scenarios of a parent or an older sibling who had an adverse reaction to a vaccine, and if that could be an appropriate factor to lead to the decision by a doctor to provide a medical exemption. And so that's what this amendment does. It addresses exactly your issue. And I just want to, for additional clarification, I want to ask the representative from the State Medical Board, Ms. Simos, to confirm that it would be appropriate in your judgment for a doctor to provide a medical exemption based on an adverse reaction of a parent or an older sibling to a vaccine.
So I'm not a doctor, but a doctor would use their clinical judgment. And basically how we look at complaints, so we have to get a complaint to actually look at a case. So we don't track medical exemptions. We would have to receive a complaint in. And what we would do when we get that complaint is we would have another physician look at that and see, was the doctor acting within the standard of care? And so they would take into account, they would look at that patient's medical records, including family history, and the doctor would opine on that, on the decision that other physician made. And so I mean, I'm not a doctor, but as Dr. Pan said, it's safe to assume that all that family history and everything would be considered.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to go to public comment, and I'm first going to set a couple of quick ground rules. Firstly, and thank you to all of our witnesses, to our authors. I want to say that I deeply appreciate that parents have brought children here today. It has exposed these children to our government and taught them an important lesson about civic engagement. And I hope they also leave knowing that nearly every issue has multiple sides to it, as we've clearly discovered through today's debate, and that reasonable people can differ. To the parents here today, thank you. Men, make no mistake about this, the presence of children here today sends an important message. There are families tremendously concerned with what we do here today, and like every parent, the parents here today want to protect their children. I know that many have brought children with health challenges that parents believe were related to receiving childhood vaccinations. Rest assured, I and the committee members understand the message you are sending to us today. Today, we would like to take testimony from adults only. We will assume that children accompanying parents share their view, and their presence here today will be noted in that regard. Again, rest assured that the members and everyone watching will see these children, and by appearing here today as a family, you are sending an important message to committee members and the larger community here in the Capitol and beyond. We're going to, as I stated before, start with our public members of the public on the ground level. We're going to finish going through our members of the public at the ground level. They're going to go up top to the gallery, and as we go to the gallery, the public, the ground level will be filled again, and we'll continue back and forth with comments at the microphone until we're done. And I just want to give a reminder that at this point, after the full, robust, rigorous discussion that we just had, our witnesses, members of the public, are to state only your name, your organization or your city, and your position. That is all. I will silence your microphone if you go beyond that. We want to give everyone an opportunity to speak today. Let's start with our first member of the public.
Hi, my name is Dana Williamson. I'm from Elk Grove, and I'm here in support of this bill.
Thank you.
Robin Swanson from Folsom, California, mother of 3, in support of this bill.
Jennifer Simoes, Medical Board of California, in support.
Dawn Peterson, mother from West Sacramento, and I am in support of this bill.
Ilana Ford, mother of 2 special needs children. Please vote yes.
Don Stauffer, I'm a teacher and I support SB 277.
Catherine Flores Martin with the California Immunization Coalition in strong support.
Debbie Look on behalf of State Superintendent of Public Instruction Tom Torlakson in support.
Dr. Sonia Kahn, pediatric ICU trauma doctor, American Academy of Pediatrics, board certified by the Board of Pediatrics, strongly in support of this bill.
Susan Neese, I'm a registered nurse and I'm in support of this bill.
Kayla Colburn, I'm a mom and registered nurse in support of this bill.
Hannah Henry from Napa, on behalf of 28,000 parents and from Vaccinate California, we are in support of this bill.
Renee DeResta, mom from San Francisco, 1 child too young to be fully vaccinated. I support this bill.
Brian Hanley, PhD in microbiology from Davis. I support this bill.
Alicia Sanchez, representing the California Medical Association and our 40,000 physicians. We're co-sponsors and ask for your support.
I'm Julie Matthews from San Francisco, California, a mother and a nutrition consultant working with special needs children. I am strongly opposed to this bill.
Keith Carollo, pediatrician, Albany, California. I support the bill.
Lynn Campbell from Fresno. I'm a teacher and also the grandmother of a special needs child whose immune system is severely compromised. Please vote yes.
Francesca Ritano from the Secular Coalition for California. The Secular Coalition of California and the United States support this bill.
Erica Rohr-Luke from Woodland, California. I'm a mother of 3 preschool and school-age children. I'm a scientist and I'm an executive board member of a PTA school site in the 3rd District. I strongly support this bill.
Liz Dietz, on behalf of the thousands of members of the Thinking Person's Guide to Autism community, we support this bill.
Bernadette Ariano, on behalf of the California Children's Hospital Association, representing the 8 private not-for-profit children's hospitals in California, in very strong support of the bill.
Snigdha Parchuri, public health student, and I strongly support this bill.
Wendy Bloom, registered nurse, pediatric oncology nurse, and grandmother from Oakland, California. I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Hall, and I represent the California Parent Teachers Association. We're in support of the bill.
Kathy Moffett, mother, grandmother, former teacher from Orange County, strongly supporting the bill.
I am Scott Folsom, a parent leader in Los Angeles Unified School District and also a member of the LAUSD Trust for Children's Health, which operates on-school clinics, all organizations in support of the bill.
Mary Willison from Sacramento, on behalf of the thousands of families who are here today and those who could not make it because their children are at home in diapers at age of 17. Lightning struck their home. You'll hear from them today.
Michael Tarian, Napa, California, father of 4. I am in support of this bill.
Let me give everybody a reminder. We're doing name, organization, or city, and your position only. Thank you.
Margie Chartier from Oakland, California, support of this bill.
Kim Layden, Mountain View, California, mom, and I support the bill.
Andrew Cattell, representing the Children's Specialty Care Coalition. We are in strong support.
Alan Steller, an RN from Oroville, California. I support this bill.
Julia Paskin of Los Angeles, daughter of an immunocompromised parent, and I strongly support this bill.
Ramona Garcia, a polio survivor from the epidemics in the 1944, and our organization, Resources for Independent Living, strongly supports.
Name, organization, and position, please.
Mr. Chair and members, Rand Martin on behalf of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, in very strong support. Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, Josephine Figueroa on behalf of Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones in support.
Mr. Chair and members, Kendra Harris with the California Federation of Teachers in strong support.
Mr. Chair and members, David Ford, on behalf of the Association of Northern California Oncologists, the Medical Oncology Association of Southern California, the Silicon Valley Leadership Group, all in support.
Mr. Chair and members, thank you. I'm Teresa Anderson on behalf of California Academy of Physician Assistants in support.
Mr. Chair and members, Gay Brayman on behalf of the California Academy of Physician Assistants.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee, Sherry Penny Myers, practicing physicians and from Orange County, and a board member of the California Academy of Physicians Assistants. In support.
Vicki Cranford Longquish, practicing physician assistant in Santa Clarita, California, in strong support.
Kevin Robertson, practicing physician assistant in Los Angeles. I'm on the board of the California Academy of Physician Assistants. I stand in support of this bill.
Lawrence Owusu, practicing physician assistant in Oceanside, California. We are in support of this bill.
Jeremy Adler, practicing PA in San Diego, president of the California Academy of PAs, in support.
Mike Davis, practicing PA, San Diego, in strong support.
John Winger on behalf of Biocom in support.
Nicole Wertelman on behalf of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors in support.
Judith Riggle with the County Health Executives Association in strong support.
Farrah McDade-Ting on behalf of the California State Association of Counties in support.
Jasmine Gordon on behalf of the California Black Health Network in support.
Teresa Stark on behalf of Kaiser Permanente in strong support, and also here as a mother in strong support.
Brianna Pittman with the California Dental Association here in support.
Marianne Massenberg on behalf of UAW Local 5810, 6,000 postdoctoral researchers at the University of California in strong support.
David Gonzalez on behalf of CAPG, our health providers responsible for the care of some 18 million Californians. Happy to be here in support.
Christopher Castrillo on behalf of the boards of supervisors for Sonoma and Solano County and also the city of Beverly Hills in support. Thanks.
Michael Pimentel with the California Transit Association in support.
David Jones on behalf of the city of Pasadena in strong support.
Devin Anderson on behalf of Donate Life California in support.
Lydia Bourne representing American Academy of Pediatrics, 5,000 strong, as well as 1,300 school nurses and the California School Nurses Organization in strong support.
Brian Warren with the California Pharmacists Association in support.
Justin Garrett with the March of Dimes in strong support.
Leah Dara, Davis, California, parent of 4 immunized children in support, and also 3rd District President representing over 20,000 members.
Dolores Duran Flores with the California School Employees Association, representing nearly 230,000 classified employees across the state, in support. Thank you.
Carol Green, President of 9th District PTA, representing San Diego and Imperial Counties, in support.
Amy Alfieri, parent of 2, West Sacramento, also volunteer at Vaccinate California, which represents over 28,000 Californians. Strong support. Thank you.
Brandon Roberts here with the Health Officers Association of California. We're standing in support.
Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, Santa Clara County, in support.
Could we go upstairs now, or witnesses in opposition? What's he saying? Let's continue.
Mandy and Jordan Bunyasiri from Loomis, California, and we both strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Joshua Coleman from Roseville, California. Both me and my son, who is vaccine injured, oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Aaron Mills, father of two from Sacramento, California. I oppose.
Thank you, sir.